This is Alpha Silver, and I want to welcome you here to Overland. This game currently is in an alpha state. This build is 1.12, and I would like to show you a few features of this game, as well as a playthrough, to kind of show you what this game is about. It's a lot of fun, a lot of atmosphere, despite it missing a lot of story. So we're going to go ahead and get going. So far, there are only 3 regions in the game. There is the Woodlands, where you start out for now, followed by the plains and the mountains. Today I'm going to be showing you the Woodlands. So go ahead and start our new game and get on the road. Now, first off, I'd like to show you a couple things about this game. One, you always start out with a car, usually a hatchback. Different cars in the game have the ability to seat different amounts of people, usually 3 or 4. Each car has anywhere from 0 to 3 storage. Usually you'll find trucks that have more storage, cars have 1 or 2, and vans have 0, but they hold more people. There's also derelict cars that you can search around. Sometimes there's dumpsters that you can search. You can also meet people to join into your group, which gives you more options. And then there's also the dangers that you have to watch out for. On this particular level, there is a small creature here. He will be killed in 1 hit, but normally creatures when hit do let out a cry that calls more of their friends. I call these little guys spiders. As far as I know, they do not have any official name as of yet. But when I say spider, you'll know I'm referring to these little guys here. So we'll go ahead and get started here. My character is randomized, always randomized, whether it's gender and their history. So Allison here, orphaned at a young age and misses her sister. Go ahead and try to see what this guy wants here without attracting too much attention. Everybody has at least 2 action points. And I used one getting out of the car, and I'll use my other one here to search. This guy should automatically come right towards me, so I'm not too worried about meeting him yet. Now our first item that we can pick up, everybody has 1 item slot, is a wooden shield that looks like it's part of a fence. Little dots underneath it mean that that's how many uses it has until it breaks. The nice thing about wooden shields is that when they break, they turn into sticks, and sticks you'll find usually lying around. Here's a couple here along with some bottles. Sticks are good for 2 attacks before they break and become completely useless. Bottles are able to be thrown. They are 1-use items though. They have a range of 2. They usually kill things like spiders in 1 hit, so they're usually pretty good to have around if you're in a bind. But for now, I've used up all my turns. We'll go ahead and end turn. So here we have Tahoe, if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to go ahead and invite him to my group, which will use up an action turn, but then he gets 2 turns as well. Now, usually your starting person so far doesn't have any traits, but this guy does. He has the energetic trait that once it's unlocked, he will get 3 action points instead of 2. I'm going to go ahead and use him to search this car over here, since she has a shield and he has an empty slot. So I'll move right here. Now spiders only can have 1 action point, so they can only move 1 square or attack in 1 turn. They cannot attack and move in the same turn, so they're usually not too dangerous unless they're very grouped up and they kind of pin you into a corner. The thing I also want to mention is that it's raining right now. If you notice, that's part of the atmosphere. But the other good thing about rain is you're going to love rain in this game, is because when these creatures die, their cry will go unheard by the others. The rain drowns them out. So you can go ahead and kill them without worrying about any more being called towards you. So I'm going to go ahead and have her enter the car. And cars are usually safe places right now because creatures generally don't attack the car unless the car is running. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that off right now. And we'll have Tahoe search this car and see if I can find anything useful. So I found a bottle. Again, Little dot underneath means how many uses it has. It has one use. But seeing as there's not a whole lot better on this level, I'm going to go ahead and we'll just have him keep it. We'll go back to the car. Now the nice thing is that he's used up his action points, but because Allison still has 2 action points and she's in the car, she can go ahead and pull him in using one of hers. And then she can turn on the car and escape with her remaining one. And that's kind of usually how you begin. There's usually a second person that you can gather into your group, a couple places that you can search for useful items with. And now we have here the map screen. This is where you decide where to travel to. If you have enough gas, you are able to travel to the very end, but you do have to skip everything along the line. You can never go backwards. And so far here, looks like we have the exact same thing. This icon here indicates that there's going to be supplies, and if you mouse over it, it will tell you the name of the town. Underneath it, it will tell you how much gas it'll take to get there, and whether it's safe or dangerous. But seeing as I'm going to probably want fuel here pretty soon, and hopefully get something a little bit better than a bottle to attack with, I'm going to go ahead and go to Tuckerton. We'll see what we find. It looks like we have a dog here. Hopefully we can recruit the dog into our group. Now dogs are just, they're really nice to have with. Some dogs are able to attack monsters. All of them are able to carry at least one item in their mouths. Unlike humans though, they cannot wear backpacks, which is an item found later on in the game. And they cannot use med packs or repair kits. So they're not greatest, but if they do have the ability of Fierce, where they can attack monsters, that's an unlimited use, so you don't have to worry about finding different weapons and everything. So they come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and send Allison over here to this derelict car. Once again, it's still raining, so I can go ahead and kill this spider without any repercussions. I'll send Tejo over here. Hopefully we can recruit this dog into our group. There are some dogs and some people that, unless you have the trait Charismatic, cannot be recruited. They'll just leave you alone, sometimes try to steal things from here before you get to them. So you kind of have to watch out for them. It looks like this dog wants to join me, so I'll go ahead and invite her. See what she has. And she does have the Fierce, and along with Energetic, so she's this Dozer here. Pretty powerful dog, because once Energetic is unlocked, he'll have 3 moves in one, which means if he's standing right next to a bigger monster that takes 2 hits, he can attack twice and run away. Or move in and attack twice, so that'll come in handy much later. Dogs can also search here as well, so that'll always be nice. And it looks like our sound glitched out. I see the raining animation, so I'm hoping it's still raining. Go ahead and search the car here, and I found a repair kit, which I might be able to use on this car here, and seeing as it has a car rack means it has an extra storage space, so I'm probably going to want to take this car with me instead. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the spider, and then I should have all the time I want to search around here and get this car ready to go. So I'll just drop my items there. I can come back for them later. I'll go ahead and kill the spider. And again, normally they let out a big shriek that will call some other creatures up from the ground, but because it's raining, their sound is drowned out. So I now have pretty much all the time in the world. Now another thing I want to point out is the end turn button here. If it's turned white, it means everybody has used their action points, as you can see here. If it's still kind of orange color, it means somebody still has an action point left to use. So that's a nice useful hint. We'll go ahead and send Tejo over here. He'll search this car when he can. And we'll have Dozer begin searching these. Looks like he found a med kit, which can come in a lot of handy. Come in handy, not a lot of handy. I don't know why I said that, but let's see here. Go ahead and have Dozer search the car here. Now as you can see, now that Dozer's standing here, you can see this little icon for the car. It has 3 seats, a little bit of gas in there, and it's damaged. The little exclamation point means it's damaged. You can also tell by the smoke and the dented hood, but that's what the repair kit will be for. Next turn I can go ahead and repair this. This turn I'll go ahead and search this derelict car. Now I found a pipe. Now pipes have unlimited usage and they do 1 attack point for each hit, but pipes cause a lot of sound. And sound will draw creatures towards you. They will also draw creatures up from the ground. Generally not a good idea to be carrying a pipe around and using it. It's kind of a last ditch, only if you have nothing else left. Effort, so I do not recommend carrying that around, if at all possible. And now because it has the extra rack, we have the extra storage space. So we'll put that there, and then it says we have 5 gas, so I'm going to go ahead and siphon the gas from this hatchback and put it over here. Now, Dozer cannot do that, so he will go gather up the shield because that will come in handy later. For now, I'll have Tejo search this car. And he found a knife. Knives have 4 uses, so they're very, very handy. Go ahead and send them back. And just like that, our car is repaired. Come back here to siphon the gas. Dozer will go on his way to get the shield. Now every turn that you siphon, you will siphon only 2 gas out of the car. So sometimes if it's full and you want a different car, it's going to take you a while. But seeing as Tejo has nothing else, we're just going to go ahead and have him wait it out in the car. Another thing I want to point out too is that each person can carry 1 gas can. Each gas can carry up to 10 units of fuel. So let's say this was a van and it had a total storage capacity of 20 and it was completely full. It would take 2 gas cans to completely siphon that out. So you really have to pay attention to that, which can come into play later if you're surrounded by creatures and you want all your gas. Sometimes it's just not going to work out. Either you face losing the game or getting exactly what you want. And that's the nice thing about this game, is it really plays to that strength. And now here it no longer has a siphon button, so which means I have everything from there. So I'll go ahead and move over here. Next turn I can fill it up and hop in the car. And now my plan, just to kind of speed up the next turn, is once Ellison has hopped back into the car, Tejo shall start the car, move up here, and pull in Dozer, which will still use both of his action points, but then the turn after we can go ahead and just jump out. Or actually this turn, I'm going to go ahead and pull Allison in. And I forget, you can go ahead and fill up the car from inside, so I'll go ahead and switch those around. And we'll use up all of our action points this turn. Tejo, start the car, we can drive up. Now one thing about the car is you have to realize that even though they do start out on the grass sometimes on the sides here, they cannot drive back up onto it. So once you're on the road, they can only stay on the road, and normally they can back up at least once. So you can't necessarily go backwards a whole lot. It's only 1 square back or unlimited amount forward. As you can see here, we can run over Dozer if we wanted to, but we really don't want to do that. So we can pull him in, and we'll use Allison to drive out of here. Right now we have a couple different icons here on the map screen. This one here shows that there may be a car here. Seeing as I got a brand new car, I'm not too worried about it. I have a decent amount of gas. So the one thing about cars is that usually if there's a car there, it will have a little bit of gas in it. But my better bet is going to be to go for the fuel cache. Now, fuel caches do carry a high risk because there's usually more monsters on that level. Usually a little bit bigger monsters as well. So got to be really careful about that. But I'm going to go ahead and chance it as I don't want to run out of fuel. Alright, now a couple new things here. One is we do have a bigger creature here. I call these guys brutes. They take 2 hits, usually you can tell by the tentacles coming out of their bodies. The spiders here have 1 set. These brutes here have 2. So you want to be wary of that. But once Dozer has energetic unlocked, he would be able to take out these brutes in 1 hit. For now, I have 1 gas can, 2 dumpsters to search through. And now here's where we get into conundrums. My hatchback only has space for 3 people, which are completely full, and I have another dog here that I can possibly recruit. If I was able to recruit her, I would have to choose who to leave behind, as I cannot bring more than what the car is able to carry. So you also want to be very careful that you can be very careful about getting too attached to your characters. It can lead to some heartbreak. But seeing as Dozer has the ability to attack, I'm here mostly for fuel. I'm going to go ahead and move Dozer here. And I'm hoping the Brute will move up next to Dozer. Dozer can attack twice next turn and take him out. Once again, since it's not raining, it will send out a shriek or a cry. And we really don't want that, but I don't plan on staying on this level too long. Now Tejo has the knife, so I'm going to go ahead and put him out here. And we'll kill this guy. Now at the same time, Allison is going to go up here, and she will grab the gas from there. It's only 4, but it can come in handy. We'll go ahead and end our turn, since we don't want Dozer to move anywhere else. Alright, and that's what I was afraid of. This new dog does want to become my friend, but I don't have any room. And so unfortunately, I am going to have to be the bad guy in this situation and leave her behind. Alright, now I have 2 gas cans here. Gas cans can be combined by human characters. Again, gas cans can only hold up to 10, so I'm good here. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll move around. I'm going to get out of the way of that brute. And now this is close enough to the car, I have no problems go ahead and dropping the knife, because I can come back for it next turn. Filling up the car. Now to fill up the car, you either have to be in it or in the 4 spaces directly to the north, south, east, and west of it. You cannot be diagonal, even though you can move diagonally, you usually can't do things at a diagonal. And for now, Dozer will go ahead and attack this brute twice, and again call up more creatures. One thing to point out here is that this will be on the first turn, and on the second turn, it'll turn into a crater, so next turn this will actually pop out a creature. You never know what it is until it pops out. So right now, with 3 more on the way, I am going to want to hightail it out of here. And I feel really bad for this puppy. She's going to follow me around and make me feel absolutely horrible for leaving her behind. Once again, that's the great thing about this game. It has a ton of atmosphere, even though it can make you very, very, very... But sometimes those are the choices we have to make. So because Tejo is holding the gas can, I will have Allison pick up the knife next turn. Dozer can go ahead and just get right back in the car. Now equipping an item or picking it up, dropping it does not cost an action point, so I can go ahead and just move right back. Jump in, pull her in, and the next turn I will be able to just drive away. Which unfortunately means I am leaving this poor puppy behind, even though I really, really don't want to. Goodbye, puppy. Breaks your heart, even though it's just a game. Right, now we have another new icon. We either have supplies down here, or this new icon says that there's possibly a stranded person here. Usually it is safe, 1 or 2 creatures. But seeing again, I really don't want to have a repeat of last turn, where you have to leave somebody behind, if I don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and head down here for some supplies. Or if I wanted, I could go to the very end, but right now I wouldn't mind finding a repair kit or something, just in case. So go ahead and fill up so that he has a free space here. We'll move out. So now that Allison has the knife, I'm going to go ahead and send her over here. The spider will move up. I'll be able to kill it in 1 turn, search. Dozer will be able to search here next turn, and then we'll be able to get to the car before anything pops back up. Right, we have a med kit, which since we have 2 sitting in the car, I really don't want to replace my knife because the knife can come in handy. So we'll go ahead and just leave it there. Again, we found another pipe. Really don't want to be carrying around a pipe, so I'm going to go ahead and just send Dozer back to the car. And we found another knife, which will come in handy because this one is halfway through its usefulness. Now these earlier levels are fairly straightforward. Not a whole lot to them. Fairly easy. And you do know that difficulty may be upped as the game is updated and more is added. But for now, enemies are fairly predictable. You do find yourself sometimes caught in a precarious situation, whether it's just a ton of enemies, or as in later in the game, you do run into forest fires that can spread, faster enemies, or if you make a simple mistake, you just end up finding yourself kind of locked out of being able to do anything worthwhile. So there's a spider that popped up, but I really don't care because we are out of here. Alright, now again we've traveled 122 miles. We have 1 more stop left before we reach the end. Seeing as I don't want another person, I really don't need the gas at this point. I'm going to go ahead and just skip these stops since this only costs 4 gas. We'll go ahead and see what happens here. Now these last levels are known as boss levels. Again, in the alpha state, they are pretty much the exact same random placement of monsters and enemies, but usually there's 2 dumpsters on the first one, 3 spiders, and a brute. With some gas laying around. I do know the developer has discussed that later on in later builds they will be adding more randomness to it, more difficulty, so that these don't feel like just normal levels, that they do actually feel like boss levels, that they're kind of a gateway to the next region. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what happens. I kind of wish it was raining here because that makes it more difficult, but we don't always get what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and send Teo out here. He has the 4-use knife. It's right here. I go ahead and just have it drop right next to the car, and we'll still be good. In fact, his energetic now is activated, so he has 3 uses. Or 3 action points, not uses. So he can actually go ahead and kind of make his way around this place. We'll go ahead and move him down here. The spider will definitely move here, I can guarantee it. He will have to kill it and then hop back in the car, and hopefully I can push one of these dumpsters out of the way. Normally, I would go right here and pull it, because there is usually a rock right here, and I can't pull it away. So what I might have to do is push this down and then push this one out to give me a path to get out of here. But we'll go ahead and see what happens here. I'm just going to leave Dozer here in the car, and if he needs to, he can jump out and attack. Hoping it's not going to have to come to that. Actually, I might go ahead and move him here. I try to lure this brute right here. Dozer can attack twice with his ferocity and take him out all at once, which will then call in more, but hopefully I can push these out of the way in time. Yep, just as I thought. So I'm going to go ahead and bite twice. Now, on these boss levels, it usually calls 2 to 3, not just 1. Those brutes, I think, are extra loud, so they tend to call more. And so now I really have to worry. I have 5 creatures on their way, and they will be here in 2 more turns. So I have to be very quick about this. I'm going to lose this knife to get this gas. Shouldn't have too much to worry about. Now, about these dumpsters, I can push them, but because they're metal, and especially on this pavement here, I do believe it works on any terrain though, is they're going to make noise, which are going to call even more creatures, which means in 2 turns, I definitely have to be out of here. Probably won't have a whole lot of chance to search these, but we'll see what happens. And so now, after moving those, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures with 2 left on the map, which means there's going to be 11 creatures here very soon. And once again, I'm definitely going to want to hightail it out of here. I really love that sound because when there's multiples, it really kind of just crawls up your spine. Really adds, again, to that atmosphere of the game. Even though we don't know why these creatures are here yet, or any of the story, it definitely has that survival feel to it that definitely want to get out of here as soon as possible, but I'm going to go ahead and switch. Stick, not too worried about that. The rock, and rocks are again thrown. They're kind of like bottles. They have unlimited uses. Once they're thrown, they just kind of drop to the ground. You'll have to go pick it up again. But again, useful, but not terribly useful. And we'll those are into the car here. Now, if I wasn't able to get out of here this turn, I would have no chance against all these creatures. I just don't have enough hits, even with these sticks laying around. I would probably die very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and move in here, jump in the car. She can move here. And again, I can fill up in the car, I can fill up later. I have plenty of fuel right now to get out of here, so I'm not too worried about it. So with his energetic, I have enough to turn on and leave. Now, one thing I want to mention is creatures seem to have a size. Brutes here are large size. Spiders I consider small. Spiders I can just run over. They don't do anything to my car. Nothing happens except for they die. Brutes, on the other hand, I have to ram, like this symbol here, which will damage my car. Cars can take 2 hits. Some cars will have armor, which means they have an additional hit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just drive right through that spider and get out of here. And that is the Woodlands of Overland. The next few levels introduce new creatures, new difficulty. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Hopefully this has given you good insight into what Overland is. Again, it's in alpha state, but if you like them, go ahead and definitely sign up for their mailing list at overland-game.com. They're great. They're very open here with the community. They ask questions, offer hints, ask for opinions, and if you sign up for their mailing list, they have stated that they will be giving out keys sometime in the future again. They are giving them out limited quantities here in the early release, but you go ahead and sign up to see if you can, when the next batch will be released, and you'll be able to get those. Anyway, thanks for joining in. This is Alpha Silver once again. Thanks.